All right, let's talk about something we all experience every single day: design. We're going to decode the invisible rules, the secret language that makes an app feel amazing or completely unusable. So, what's the magic behind good design? Let's dive in and find out.
You know that feeling, right? You open a new app, maybe a website, and you're just lost. Instantly. You're tapping around, trying to make sense of it, and it just feels like a total mess. Well, let me tell you, that frustration, it's not on you. It's a failure of design. And it all comes down to how our brains are wired to see. And this quote right here, it absolutely nails it. Before you even think about reading a single word, your brain is already seeing. It's scanning. It's a reflex. And great design doesn't fight that. It uses it. It grabs your eyes from the very first second and guides them. So the big question is, how on earth do they pull that off?
Okay, so our first section is all about guiding the user's eye. This is job number 1. Designers have a couple of secret weapons for this. 2 main tools they use to tell your brain exactly where to look and in what order. We're talking about hierarchy and contrast. These are the things that make sure you're never left guessing what to do next.
So that first tool is called visual hierarchy. Think of it like a visual roadmap for your eyes. It's all about making the most important stuff on the screen pop so your brain doesn't even have to think about it. It just knows what to look at first. And the cool thing is, creating this hierarchy is actually way simpler than it sounds. Making something bigger or bolder, using a color that really stands out. All these little tricks are basically signals, little whispers to your brain that say, hey, look here first. It's like a quiet conversation happening between the design and your mind.
All right, the second tool for grabbing your attention is contrast. Now, if hierarchy tells you what's most important, contrast is the thing that makes it absolutely impossible to miss. It's all about making something stand out from its background. And this is so critical for things like buttons or links, anything you need to actually click on.
I mean, just look at this. The difference is night and day, right? With good contrast, everything's clear. The text is easy to read, you know exactly what to do, but with bad contrast, poof, important stuff just vanishes into the background. It's confusing, it causes mistakes, and honestly, it's just frustrating. This right here is often the difference between something that works and something that's, well, basically broken.
Okay, so now the designer has your attention. What's next? Well, now it's all about creating order from chaos. The next job is to take all that stuff on the screen, all the buttons, text, and images, and arrange it all in a way that actually makes sense. It needs a clear, understandable structure. And the absolute foundation of all that order is balance. Now, here's a cool way to think about it. Imagine every single thing on the screen has a visual weight. A big, dark photo feels heavy, right? A small piece of text feels light. Balance is just the art of arranging all those heavy and light things so the whole screen feels stable and, well, balanced, not like it's about to tip over.
So the first type you'll see is symmetrical balance. This is pretty straightforward. It's when everything is mirrored perfectly on both sides of a central line. It just feels orderly, formal, calm. It's really predictable, which can be super reassuring for a user.
But then you have the flip side, asymmetrical balance. This is where things get really interesting and dynamic. You might have one huge element on one side, but it's balanced out by a bunch of smaller things on the other. It still feels stable, but it's got this energy, a tension that makes the whole design feel alive and modern.
Okay, next up is alignment, and this one is huge. This is like the invisible grid that holds the entire design together. When things are lined up properly, they feel connected, they feel intentional. But without alignment, the screen just looks messy, unprofessional, like someone just kind of threw everything on the page and hoped for the best.
And the rules for this are so simple, but wow, their impact is massive. Just by making sure things line up, you create this incredible sense of order. Our brains are literally hardwired to look for patterns, and alignment feeds that need perfectly. It just makes a design feel cohesive, almost instantly.
Here's another one that's super simple but incredibly powerful: proximity. It just means that our brains automatically assume that things placed close to each other belong together. It's why you see a picture right next to its caption or a headline sitting right on top of its paragraph. This simple grouping makes our brains work less, and that makes everything way easier to understand.
All right, our third and final principle is the one that really ties the entire experience together. This is all about creating a consistent visual world for the user. And that, my friends, is the secret sauce to building familiarity and, most importantly, trust.
And this principle is called repetition.
It's really straightforward. It just means that if you have a button, it should look the same on every single screen. Headlines should always have the same font, the same size. When you do this, you're creating a predictable visual language that users can learn.
And the payoff for this is huge. When things are consistent, people learn how to use your app way faster. They're not constantly trying to figure out what a button looks like on a new page. That kind of familiarity builds trust. It makes the whole thing feel reliable and, like someone actually cared when they built it.
I mean, look at this. It's another night and day comparison. On the left, everything's consistent, it's super easy to scan, but on the right, it's just visual chaos. Your brain has to work so much harder to figure out what's going on. Repetition is the magic that turns that chaos into crystal clear clarity.
So, let's pull all of this together. How do you know when all these rules are actually working in harmony? Well, it turns out there's a really simple but super effective test for that.
Think about how each one of these principles plays its part. Hierarchy tells you what's important. Balance makes the whole thing feel stable. Alignment makes it look clean and organized. Contrast makes the important stuff pop right off the screen. Proximity helps you make sense of it all. And repetition makes it feel familiar and trustworthy. See how they all work together? They create one single, seamless experience.
And all of that work, all of those principles, they all lead up to this one simple test. 3 seconds. Can a user look at a screen, get what it's all about, and know what to do next in just 3 seconds? If the answer is yes, then hey, the design is working. That's the whole ballgame.
And this quote really is the perfect way to sum it all up. Beauty without structure is noise. A design can look gorgeous, have amazing colors and cool fonts, but if it doesn't have that solid structure underneath, all these principles we've talked about, it's just noise. It's the structure that gives it meaning and makes it actually usable.
So, I'm going to leave you with a little challenge. The next time you open up your favorite app, just pause for a second and really look at it. Can you spot the visual hierarchy? Can you feel that invisible grid holding it all together? Now that you know the rules, I guarantee you're going to start seeing them everywhere. Thanks for tuning in.
Like, share, and subscribe.